95% of commercial shipping in the world's most critical energy artery stopped dead today. The global economy is choking. The 30-day escalation between the USA, Israel, and Iran is no longer a regional standoff. This is a planetary crisis. If you think this is about a temporary spike in your gas prices, you are wrong. Look at the bigger picture. We are witnessing the total collapse of global supply chains. Electronic prices are soaring, but this is only the beginning. Over the last month, targeted strikes dismantled key maritime choke points. Millions of barrels of oil are stuck at sea forever. Historical data proves when the Middle East burns, the rest of the world starves. Food security is instantly compromised everywhere. Look back at the massive oil shocks of the 1970s. What took months to unfold back then happens in days now. Our hyper-connected world means a missile strike in Tehran crashes tech manufacturing in Taiwan. You will not escape this domino effect. Modern warfare relies on massive energy consumption. This 30-day conflict emitted more carbon than many entire nations do annually. This forces ships to travel thousands of extra miles around Africa. Expect massive delays for everything you buy daily. The Red Sea and Strait of Hormuz handle nearly a third of container traffic. They are essentially paralyzed right now. This is not an ordinary energy crisis. Crucial raw materials for microchips and green technologies are trapped in this crossfire. We are tracking a terrifying pattern here. Global powers are militarizing trade routes to force economic submission from bitter rivals. This proxy war involves massive cyber attacks on critical infrastructure. Hackers target power grids and water supplies across multiple continents daily. The rapid escalation forces nations to hoard essential resources. Panic buying at the state level creates shortages for everyday people. Agricultural supply chains are breaking down fast. Exploding fertilizer prices guarantee massive global crop failures in the coming year. This data reveals a systemic vulnerability. The entire globalized economy relied on permanent peace, which is entirely gone. Financial markets are experiencing unprecedented volatility. Trillions of dollars vanished as investors panic over this unpredictable geopolitical chaos. Central banks are unable to fix this with interest rates. You are unable to print vital raw materials when physical ships cannot sail safely. We are witnessing the weaponization of the global economy. Trade is no longer about mutual benefit. Trade means brutal survival. The ripple effects will hit your local grocery store. Expect hyperinflation on basic necessities within the next 3 to 6 months. This 30-day conflict exposed the fragile illusion of stability. The era of cheap goods and frictionless global trade is dead. Beyond economics, this conflict is a massive environmental disaster. Military operations unleash catastrophic levels of toxic greenhouse gas emissions daily. Jet fuel, burning oil depots, and explosive ordnance pump millions of tons of carbon directly into our fragile upper atmosphere. The environmental cost of this 30-day war will set back global climate goals by at least an entire decade. We are locking in long-term climate damage. War zones destroy vital ecosystems and pollute critical water sources for future generations. Also, this conflict is dragging other nations down. We are seeing a rapid acceleration toward a massive global collision. Alliances are shifting dangerously. Nations abandon diplomatic neutrality and openly take sides, creating a highly volatile multipolar powder keg. Look at international law. The United Nations and global bodies are proving completely powerless to stop this rapid, violent escalation. Global policies established after World War II are ignored entirely. Powerful nations rewrite the rules through sheer brute force. This collapse of international order means border disputes everywhere will ignite. If treaties mean nothing, every nation must arm itself heavily. We are entering a new global arms race. Trillions are diverted from healthcare and education directly into advanced military weapons. The refugee crisis will be biblical in scale. Millions fleeing immediate conflict zones destabilize neighboring regions and economies. Borders will militarize further. Xenophobia and resource nationalism will dominate political agendas, tearing apart the fabric of tolerant democratic societies worldwide. Think about the technological impact. Artificial intelligence is weaponized at an alarming rate to control drones and spread massive disinformation. You are being targeted by sophisticated psychological operations. Social media algorithms amplify outrage to manufacture consent for endless global warfare. The truth is becoming the ultimate casualty. When you are unable to trust the information you see, democratic oversight becomes completely impossible everywhere. We face a dark winter of energy rationing. Governments will dictate when you heat your home or charge your vehicles. Developing nations will suffer the most brutal consequences. Debt defaults trigger sovereign bankruptcies, erasing decades of slow economic human progress. This is how empires fall. Not with a single explosive strike, but through a cascading failure of complex, interdependent systems. You must realize global leadership fundamentally failed us. They prioritized short-term political survival over long-term human existence. The consequences of these last 30 days will echo for 50 years. You are unable to reverse this level of deep systemic destruction. Technology will not save us from this mess. Silicon Valley is unable to code a solution to massive geopolitical hatred and resource scarcity. Stop believing the false promises of institutional saviors. The politicians who engineered this crisis are untrustworthy to guide us out. International summits are essentially expensive theater. They produce hollow declarations while the active bombs continue to decimate entire living, breathing cities. Green energy transitions are being actively delayed. Nations are reverting to dirty coal to keep their vital military-industrial complexes running. The concept of a rules-based international order was a comfortable myth. We live in a world governed entirely by raw power. Your government is preparing for wider mobilization. Emergency powers will restrict your fundamental rights and personal freedoms. Look at the historical precedent. World War I started with a single localized event and rapidly consumed the entire known globe. We are sleepwalking into a highly similar trap. The complex web of defense treaties guarantees localized friction creates global fire. Corporate media will sell you a sanitized narrative. They will frame this as a righteous struggle rather than a tragic systemic failure. Do not fall for the propaganda. Every missile fired destroys capital meant to cure disease or hunger. We are burning our future to settle ancient grudges. This is a profoundly irrational use of our limited global human potential. The illusion of permanent security is officially shattered. You must accept instability is the new baseline for your daily existence. Those in power will insulate themselves from the fallout. The working class will bear the brutal physical and economic costs entirely. We must confront the grim reality of our situation. The institutions built to prevent this exact scenario have completely failed. You are on your own. The state is unable to guarantee your economic security or physical safety in this deteriorating environment. So how do we adapt to this harsh new world? We must fundamentally change how we live and interact with each other. True resilience starts at the local level. You must build strong, autonomous communities independent of fragile global supply chains. Learn practical survival and agricultural skills. Growing your own food is no longer a hobby. This is a necessary act of rebellion. Decentralize your life immediately. Invest in local renewable energy systems to survive inevitable state-mandated rolling blackouts. We must foster deep community solidarity. When federal safety nets collapse, your neighbors are your only real insurance policy. Stop participating in the hyper-consumer economy. Every dollar spent on imported junk funds the systems destroying our fragile planet. Demand absolute transparency from your local leaders. We must hold them accountable before they drag us into this global conflict. Education is your greatest weapon against propaganda. Read history widely to understand the hidden motives behind these forever wars. We must protect our local ecosystems fiercely. As global climate agreements collapse, local environmental defense becomes our highest moral duty. Shift your mindset from passive consumer to active creator. Build tangible value instead of endlessly scrolling through digital anxiety. The road ahead is extremely dark and difficult. Humans have survived massive systemic collapses before through cooperation and deep resilience. We must reject the politics of endless fear. Focus on building pockets of stability and peace in your immediate physical surroundings. The era of globalization is rapidly fracturing. The future belongs to those who thrive locally while thinking deeply about global consequences. You have a choice to make right now. Will you remain a helpless victim, or will you become a builder of the future? The world as you knew before is completely gone. What are you going to do about the situation starting right this second? This is my first video. Please check the description below to know more about me and support the channel.